Hi there, and welcome to this #1 most beginner SEO friendly tutorial in the world. At least that's what I try to create. Now, I'm going to give you a brief introduction to what you're going to watch, and we'll start right away. My name is Alex Gundinik, and I've been doing SEO for 20 plus years, and I've created one of the best SEO courses in the world. It has like 18 hours of content, goes really in depth, starts from beginner, goes to advanced. Now, the problem was that my level of beginner wasn't actually beginner enough, because even in that beginner to advanced course, many people said it's not beginner enough for me because people were coming from like a non-tech industry, just extra beginner. That's what this tutorial is, for extra beginners, to give you the right foundation so you can start to feel confident. And what you're going to get in this tutorial is actually, it's a full beginner course, after which I'm going to welcome you to take my beginner to advanced, which is going to be the next level. That's going to be a full course, and I'm going to have the link to that course with a discount in the resources of this video. So if you like this tutorial and you like learning from me, you are welcome to take the next step. But you don't have to, because you can just get the beginner stuff all in this one tutorial. I have a whole beginner course, but that's hosted elsewhere. Here, I put all those videos, individual videos of that course into one, so you can watch it in just one tutorial. And by the end of this tutorial, you'll understand why SEO, search engine optimization, is so important, why it's so coveted by business owners, how you can leverage it, the history of SEO, how it really works underneath, the main terminology, and hopefully by the end, you'll have the confidence and the right foundation so that SEO just won't be difficult for you. Because I know that it can be confusing and a lot of the terminology can feel so daunting, but trust me, it's not really rocket science. You just have to get started, and then it's relatively smooth sailing. It won't be that hard, I promise. So with that introduction, let's actually begin this course. Let's begin our very basic introduction to SEO by defining what SEO is and why it's so important. First, what is SEO? SEO stands for search engine optimization. It's essentially the process of having your website appear in Google search results. When people search, people might go to Google and they might search, I want to buy socks. And if your website happens to sell socks, you really want your website to come up in the top 10 results of Google. Because if it doesn't, your competitors will come up and they will make the sales. You really want your website to come up. And with that in mind, let me explain the core difference between SEO, search engine optimization, and any other kind of marketing you might do on social media. On social media, you post something and people may or may not see it at different random times in their day. They may or may not care about it at that time. You hope they care, but you have no idea. There's really a disconnect. Of course, you think that the people who follow you are interested in what you're doing, but you don't know. When they see your post, maybe they're walking down the street, maybe they're in public transportation, maybe they're just bored, maybe they're interested in something else. You really don't know. With search engine optimization, you actually know two things without any hesitation, without any doubt. You know exactly what a person wants, because that's what they're typing into the search. Like if they search buy socks, you know they want to buy socks. If they say buy red socks for Christmas as a gift, you know they want red socks for Christmas as a gift. That's what they typed. You'll never get that on social media. People don't tell you what they want. You're kind of blasting out your message. On SEO, people come to you. Now, the other thing you want, is exactly when the person searching wants those, the buy red socks for Christmas. You know exactly when they want to buy it. At the moment when they are searching, that's when they're shopping. You also don't get this information from social media. And that's why SEO traffic, the traffic that comes from Google, is so important. Because imagine you sell red socks for Christmas. And imagine there's a buyer out there somewhere in the world who wants to buy red socks for Christmas. If you blast out your message, think how many people are searching for red socks for Christmas. Maybe they search that once for 10 minutes per year. It's nearly impossible to get the timing right if you're blasting out your message on social media. The best time for them. But they find, if they can find you on search, that's the best time for them. And when that person is shopping and they've allocated the time to buy those red socks for Christmas at that moment in their day, that's that the window of time for their shopping is exactly then. And if they can find your website, that means that they will be incredibly much more likely to buy. Not like twice more likely, 3 times more likely, 10, 20 times more likely if you offer exactly what they are searching for. If you have those red socks for Christmas, exactly how they phrased it, oh, that's perfect. They found exactly what they wanted and you just make the sale. It's much easier than on social media. That's why. So what we know in SEO is what's called timing, the time when they want it, and intent. Intent is what you can interpret. You can interpret a person's intent by what they're searching. Sometimes the intent is a little bit more fuzzy. If they just type socks, you don't know what kind of socks they want. Men's socks, women's socks, green socks, red socks, wool socks, cotton socks. You don't know. And so if you sell red socks for Christmas, the search term socks, most of the time when people search socks, they're not looking for red socks for Christmas. But the longer the search is, the more specific it is, the more you can exactly tell exactly what the person wants. And the better you can match various search terms that people type in, the more likely you're going to be making sales. So that timing and intent is exactly why one person coming from search is worth like 20 or 50 coming from social media, because the person coming from search already wants what you're selling. They want to buy it, and they're hoping that you sell the right thing for them, so they can end their search right there and then, because they don't want to be shopping for socks. That's boring for them. They want to find exactly what they need, buy it, and get out. And if you can provide that, and if they can find you, that's the best of all worlds. And that's why SEO is so valuable and important. Now I want to give you a brief history of SEO since around that 1997, 1998 time frame, where SEO became really important up to now. So back in the day, even before Google didn't exist, there were other search engines. You might have heard of things like Lycos, Ask Jeeves, Yahoo Search. Those search engines, they were just nascent and they were very unsophisticated. So the way they worked is, if you had a website, and let's say you were selling socks, and if you had the word socks on your website, those search engines would see your website and they would read, oh, there's a word socks. That means it's relevant for socks. And they would rank that page higher. Now, when there were very few pages on the web, the one page with socks was great to come, if it came up for the search socks. But as there became more and more sites selling different products and different socks, it became competitive. And so if you have now 50 websites, all have the mention of socks, that search engine didn't know which page was better unless it mentioned socks like twice or 3 times, right? If you mention socks 3 times, you must be more relevant than a website that mentions socks once. So that gave birth to what's called keyword stuffing. If I was dealing with an unsophisticated search engine and it only looked at keyword matching, and I would think as a business owner, trying to sell socks, I would write socks, 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 green socks, red socks, everything socks, alien socks, 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 socks. And I would have like 300 mentions of socks on my page, but the stupid search engine that wasn't sophisticated would think, wow, that site must be really about socks, let's rank them higher. This practice of just stuffing keywords just for the sake of manipulating search engine is actually called keyword stuffing. Today, you will get penalized for it. And actually, even if you don't get penalized, search engines are just smarter than that. They won't fall for it. But in 1996 or 7, search engines would fall for that 100%. And people made a lot of money going suck, 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 or whatever you're selling. Keyword stuffing was perhaps the number one most winning SEO strategy in the very, very early days. And so search engine engineers started to think, well, how can we make our search engine smarter? And they tried various things, but Google came along and changed everything. Because Google, yes, they looked at keywords, but the way they determined whether a site was what's called trustworthy or authoritative is whether other websites mention or reference that website. So let's say you have a website about socks or news or something else. If other websites are referencing you as the authoritative source, then Google will think, oh, maybe the website that's referenced is more trustworthy, and so let's rank that one higher. And the way that Google was able to determine that is they had a software called a crawler. A crawler is a software that Google still uses today, that, let's say, goes to any page on the web, downloads the HTML of that page, which is available for any page, it's public, and looks at all the links that page links to. And if it links to any other page, like another page on that website or a different website, Google puts those links into a database, and when it's done trying to understand the original page, it goes to the next link and the next link and the next link. And so by virtue of that, because websites link to one another, Google is able to crawl the entire web after a certain amount of time and collect all the links and see which sites all the websites are pointing to. And if there's some website that is getting a lot of links, a lot of mentions, then Google was ranking that website higher. That was the major innovation of Google. That's what set Google apart from all the other search engines. And this was in the era of maybe 1997, 1998. Don't quote me exactly on the year, because obviously this happened over a number of years. And the researchers of Google, the founders, were researching this prior to Google becoming public. So it's not like in some year this all happened. It kind of happened gradually but quickly. But around that era is when Google cemented itself as the smartest, best search engine. Now, and this is essentially by understanding the link structure of the web and determining website authority. Of course, the problem is that website authority doesn't necessarily mean quality. It's not a perfect correlation. And so for the next, what seems like million years, well, it's been like 25, 26, however the years, 27, Google has been refining how it determines what's a good website and what's a good individual web page. Because on a good website, there can be good and bad web pages, and a web page that's good can be on a bad website. It gets complex. What we have to understand is that for the longest time, the link profile of a website was the most important determining factor of how highly a website would rank in Google. Today, it is not, because today artificial intelligence that Google uses internally is so good, they can just tell what page will be good. They don't need those linking factors, but they still use that a little bit. In the future, many people are predicting that they're not going to rely on links at all. because they're just so smart, they don't need that anymore. But that's how it all originated and started out. So today still, there's a very big market for people offering you services to get you backlinks, to rank you higher. I wouldn't recommend necessarily buying that, but it's out there. There's still a world of links, and people still think it's important. It is important at the moment, but just not nearly as important as before. In the past, it was incredibly important. So hopefully that helps you understand the evolution of search and where we came from, and how important it's been for business owners, website owners, to leverage SEO. Because you see, if we were able to get those backlinks and our websites would rank higher, that would mean not a little increase in revenue, but a gigantic increase in revenue. Because if you didn't get the backlinks, let's say you're selling socks, you maybe would rank on page 3 or 4 of Google, or 5, and sell almost nothing, because very few people are going like second page, third page. Most people who search Google, they click on the first couple of results, at least in the beginning. If those results don't satisfy them, they go further. But most people try to generally click on the first 1, 2, or 3, or 4. Guess which one is usually number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 if you search for socks? Almost always Amazon is one of those websites. If you search for almost any product, Amazon listings will come up. And that's a multi-billion-dollar company. That's the difference in having an authoritative website in Google that comes up all the time versus a website that comes up on page 4 that makes almost no money. So it's not double or triple or quadruple, it's like billions. So that's why it was so important for a long time to build those links into your website, but also why it's so important still to rank highly in Google. Now I want to begin introducing you to some of the most important terminology in SEO, and I made a spreadsheet for you. Now I'm going to be focusing on lines 5, 6, and 7. So we already covered a little bit about keywords, because when people type something into Google search, whatever they type, that's a keyword. And what that segues to is line number 6, short tail versus long tail keyword. Let me give you an example of what's a short tail and what's a long tail keyword. Here, I'm using the example of the word socks. Obviously, socks is a short keyword, just a one-word keyword. It's really hard to rank for that if you have a website about socks, because every single website in the world that even remotely mentions socks is going to compete for this keyword. So this is called a short tail, obviously, because it's short. And it's very competitive, but it's also very coveted. Like, if you could be number 1, you'd make millions upon millions, maybe billions, just from this one word, sock. But you're not. So the alternative, red socks for Christmas, that will be an example of a long tail keyword. A long tail keyword contains in it the short tail, but is longer, because red socks for Christmas now, compared to the word socks, very few websites compete with you for the keyword red socks for Christmas. So while the number of people searching for this keyword is smaller than people searching for the word socks, if you have a website or a business that sells red socks for Christmas, it's much easier to rank for this keyword. So in the beginning, you would choose the longer tail keywords. So that's the difference between the short tail and the long tail keywords. But we still have one important question to answer. How many people in the world actually search for the word socks or for the word red socks for Christmas? We could guess, but we never want to guess, because we might just guess wrong. And what if we base our whole business based on a guess? That's a bad practice. That's why there is row number 7, which is the Google Keyword Tool. It's a free tool that helps you discover which keywords people search for. In my longer SEO course, I show you exactly how to register this tool. It's a free tool, but it has a very cumbersome sign-up process. But here, let me show you how that tool looks like once you're already in. If you do want to get into this tool, you can just search for the Google keyword tool and you'll find under Google Ads, get campaign keyword suggestions. So this tool is inside Google Ads, but it's a free part inside Google Ads. Once you land on this page, you'll see something like go to Keyword Planner. I already have registered, so for me, it's going to be a much faster way to get in there. All I do is just choose my account, and here I am. So what I want to do is discover new keywords. For example, socks. Before I press get results, how many people would you guess search for the word socks in the world? I didn't do the search before. You and I are going to find out together. I would imagine 100,000 people a month. Let's see. When you click get results, you'll actually see the exact data. Here is what we can observe. For the word socks, as you can see here, about 165,000 people a month search for this. So I wasn't so far off. I guessed 100,000. And then there are other kinds of socks. Compression socks, Bombas, that's I think a brand. Nike socks, that's a brand. But what about our keyword like red socks for Christmas? How many people do you think search for that per month? Just take a guess. There's no harm in guessing just for fun. I'm going to guess 0. Let's see. I guessed wrong, but I wasn't very far off. Red socks for Christmas, 20. It doesn't help that I'm actually filming this in April. So naturally, almost nobody would search that. But in April, there's Easter. So let's see if people search for socks for Easter. I have never done this search. This is the first time I'm going to see the results. I would guess maybe 10,000 people. Let's see. It's kind of fun to compare what we would guess compared to not. Here, just under 1,000 people searching that, which I would think more. But that's exactly why you don't want to guess, and exactly why you not only want to verify the volume of search in this tool, because imagine if you thought like red socks for Christmas was going to be a winning keyword for you, and you spent a long time creating a website and a page to try to rank for that, and you spent maybe a month or two, and then you got almost 0 traffic because nobody's searching for that keyword. That would be a horrible business decision because it's based on a guess. That's why you never want to guess, and that's why you always want to verify, and not only verify, but get keyword ideas, because as you can see that when I scroll under socks for Easter, I get different variations like men's Easter socks or Easter compression socks or whatever else, but I wouldn't have thought about compression socks or other kinds of socks. That's why you want to get keywords from this tool. And so when you get your keywords from this tool, you put your keywords on your website so that Google can understand, oh, this page is selling socks. We should rank it in Google. And that's going to lead us to our next SEO concepts. Now let's discuss the idea of row number 9 called SERP, S-E-R-P. It stands for Search Engine Result Page. And row number 8, ranking, how you rank in Google search. So as an example, let's use my website. I have a hobby website, Touched by a Song. This is where I post some music that I create. If you scroll down, you can see my songs here. But also I have a blog on this section. So let's look at this blog. One of the blog posts that I wrote was about songs with imagery. And so let's use that as an example. Here I searched for songs with imagery, and this exactly is a SERP, Search Engine Result Page, essentially whatever the search engine gives me. And as you can see, the search engine tries to answer the query on its own, then it gives me some song ideas, and then it gives me some websites that are results. This particular website, Touched by a Song, that's my song, and that's my blog post. So I'm ranking number 1. My actual website is the first website that comes up. So let's click on this. That was the concept of ranking, by the way. I was ranking number 1 in Google search as the first organic listing. The word organic means for free. There could have been ads that people are running for that keyword, but at this moment, there are no ads. So now that we're on this page, I want to show you where I placed the keywords that I found. When I went to the Google keyword tool and searched for songs with imagery, I saw that 320 people a month searched that. It's not a lot, but I'll take them, especially because I have a song that really matches that very well, because I have the song that I wrote about this girl with a pearl earring. So it's a famous painting, so it's kind of imagery. And so I wrote a blog post about songs with imagery. So I put my keyword, the main keyword, in the title, and then I placed that keyword throughout the content. I didn't keyword stuff or spam, not too much, but I wrote a natural blog post with a collection of songs with imagery. If I scroll down, you'll see that there are some additional songs, like something from Romeo and Juliet, just songs with interesting imagery. Another song of mine that I promote, basically when people land on this page, I'm able to promote some of my music, and of course I sprinkled it with some very popular music out there like Bob Dylan, as you can see, and Leonard Cohen. So I tried to make a good blog post, but throughout this blog post, I was using, like in the subtitles, songs with imagery by Leonard Cohen. And then I, above that, have songs with imagery by Bob Dylan. So I keep using that keyword again, not too much, but a reasonable amount. And that was enough for me to rank number 1 in Google for this keyword. All I did was basically write a relatively complete blog post, use these keywords that we just identified in the keyword research tool on my page, and rank. Now, of course, this is not an incredibly competitive keyword. Like the most competitive keyword is love songs or something like that. I don't rank for something like that yet. I hope to in the future. But as you can see, I started with something easier and more specific. So that's where you put the keywords on your website after you find the keywords. Now let's keep going down the list of our SEO terminology and stop at row number 10, Google Search Console. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but it's a tool that Google provides. It's free. I'm going to log in so you can see how mine looks like. I'll go to the login page, start now. And as you can see, I'm on my hobby music website, touchedbyasong.com, and you'll see my traffic numbers not growing recently because I haven't really been promoting it recently, but I'm getting reasonable traffic numbers. Like it says total clicks per day around 500. That's per day. Sometimes you have a good day. On the weekends, it's like around 300. On weekdays, it's around 500. So pretty good. And then it kind of got lower a little bit recently, but we'll build it back up. But what I wanted to show you on the left side is this very interesting option for search results. You can actually see all the keywords that you're targeting, like let's say poetic songs, which is a keyword that I really want to rank for because my music is kind of like inspired by Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen. And so I, as a hobby, like I write poetry on my free time, and I really, really love this keyword of poetic song. I don't think I rank there yet, but if I didn't use this tool, I would have no idea how highly I rank. But here I can see for poetic songs, I can click on it and I can see, I have a total of 367 clicks and a total of 5,500 impressions in the Google search result pages. And so I have an average click-through rate of 6.6%. From all the people searching, 6.6 are landing on my page. Sometimes it's because I don't rank highly enough. You see, this also tells you my average position. So if I uncheck these checkboxes and click on average position, you can see how high up or how low I rank in Google search. Like usually it's between 3.8 and 4. So somewhere between spot number 3 and number 4 in Google search. Here I dropped a little bit. Here I came back up. Without this tool, you would have no idea where you rank in Google. Like you can go to Google and you can actually do a search like poetic songs. Let's do it together. Here, when I searched for it, I actually came up number 1, but that can be deceiving because on this browser, Google knows who I am. What we want to do is actually open what's called an incognito browser if you want to have an uninfluenced search result. So on Chrome, it's File, New Incognito Window, and now it's going to be uninfluenced. So now here we're going to search for poetic songs. And as you can see, I'm not number 1, I'm number 3. So I still have a little bit of work to do to rank number 1, but I'm pretty close. And I love this because when people come here, they can listen to my songs. But again, this is a result that a person gets in a certain scenario. What about people in different parts of the world? Or what about people with different personalization settings? I can't possibly know how my website comes up for all of those instances. And the only way to know is in the Google Search Console as the average that it shows me. That's perhaps the greatest value of this tool. It's really helpful to understand how a page is performing after you identified your keywords, created the page, and how highly is it ranking in Google. It's here in the Google Search Console. That's where you check. In this video, I want to go over a few of the terms here in this list that we already kind of touched upon. The idea of backlink, if you recall, that's other websites linking to you through a hyperlink. It looks something like this. If I go to my website, you see that there's a lot of links. If I go to any blog post, and on this page, you'll see that a lot of text is just regular text, but every once in a while there are links. That's a hyperlink. Sometimes a link just links to a different page on a website, but sometimes it links to another website entirely. And that's what's meant by backlinks. It's when other websites link to you. Obviously, it's a ranking factor in Google, as we discussed earlier. Now, this meta title and meta description tag, that's something that you set on your page to tell Google which keywords your page is supposed to rank for. The same thing for meta description. Alt tag is something that you set on your images that appear in your page so that you better tell Google what that image is. Then as we move on, the idea of mobile friendliness is how well a website appears and ranks on mobile as opposed to people looking and searching on desktop. Those are two different things. And we covered earlier the idea of organic traffic. Organic in the SEO world just means that you're not paying for the traffic. You're actually just ranking in Google, versus Google Ads means you're paying for that traffic. And lastly, one thing, if you have a locally focused business like a gym, a dentist office, therapy office, construction, coffee shop, restaurant, anything locally focused, there's the idea of the Google Map and the Google Business. So for example, instead of searching socks, I would search for a sock store. That implies that I'm looking for a physical store, which means it would be near me. Whenever you see a map come up in the Google search results, that means Google is interpreting your search as a local search, meaning that the search results look different. There's a map, there's this what's called a 3-pack, 3 businesses that appear here next to the map usually. And as a business owner, you really want to come up on the map if you have a sock store so that people can actually come to your physical store and visit. How do you get yourself there? It's through google.com/business. You go to google.com/business, and to put yourself on the map, you verify all your details. You click on Get Started, fill out some forms. Once Google verifies you, they're going to put your marker on this map so that people can find your store. So that's all the terminology that I wanted to introduce you to without creating too many terms, because if I added too many terms, it would start to become confusing and we would start to have diminishing returns. But as long as you're aware of the keyword research part, the on-page SEO factors like placing your keywords on the right things, the tools that you need to be aware of, the role of backlinks, if you know that, you're no longer beginner. You may still feel like a beginner, but just one beginner, not beginner, but just beginner who's ready to advance more. And of course, if you're ready to advance more, I have this incredibly comprehensive SEO course. It's titled SEO Training Masterclass 2025. That's when I'm filming it, but I actually update it every year. So if you see it next year, it will be 2026 and updated, and it takes you from beginner to advanced. As you can see here, when I scroll down, it has 18 hours of content. So it's incredibly comprehensive. It covers everything there is in SEO. As you can see here, it has over 100,000 learners. It's highly rated. It has many case studies of exactly what I do to rank highly. And when you take this course, you'll be able to take your marketing into your own hands and without hiring anybody, become an expert in SEO and get your website to rank very, very highly. Not to mention that you'll also be able to provide SEO services as a business so that people can hire you to do SEO for them. And I'll have the link with a discount to this course in the description of this video, so you can click that and check it out. There are at least 10 minutes of free preview videos. When you scroll down in the landing page, the clickable videos are free previews. And so you can actually watch a few of the videos and see if it's right for you. And if you feel like this is a good next step for you, I would definitely invite you to take this course. I've been updating it and perfecting it for many, many years. It's one of the best SEO courses in the world. It's comprehensive, it's complete, it's organized, and it will get you results.